What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing, man? Here at the GrayMan podcast, we're doing an after action review. We're going to review everything that's been going on throughout the week for you. All right, first up, we have out of the military news, we have Army Ranger Training Battalion Commander suspended. That's Lieutenant Colonel Showman. Lieutenant Colonel Showman is the 5th RTB commander. 5th RTB is the mountain phase. Mountain phase is responsible for mountaineering and also conducting combat patrols on rugged terrain, teaching soldiers how to do that after they left the Darby phase and before they go into swamp phase. And basically, Lieutenant Colonel Showman is not being accused of sexual harassment. However, he's accused of inappropriately using a dating app. So we want to not accuse Lieutenant Colonel Showman of any inappropriate behavior. We're going to let the investigation continue forward, but he's been redirected to Fort Moore until the investigation is complete. Fort Moore is previously Fort Benning. So good luck and Godspeed, sir. All right. Okay, next up, we have Iran and Chinese Navy ships are entering the Red Sea. And the reason for this that we're getting in news reports is because China says that they're asking the Iranians to help express to the Houthis that they need to show some restraint when attacking merchant ships and attacking military vessels coming through the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. Um, apparently, the Houthis, a rebel organization out of Yemen, they have been attacking merchant ships and military ships going through the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden in protest to what's happening between Palestine and Israel, according to like the Gaza Strip. So we're going to go ahead and keep a close eye on that, and we're going to monitor the situation, and I'll keep you guys updated. Okay, next up we have North Korea issues warnings to United States and the allies in that region, basically South Korea and Japan. They had joint drills last week, and North Korea was not too happy about that. The joint drills, aside from the fact that they were most likely scheduled, but they're in response to the fact that North Korea was doing live artillery shelling close to the demilitarized zone, the border where North Korea and South Korea meet. What a lot of people don't realize is that North Korea and South Korea, they never actually officially ended their war in the 1950s. They kind of just have a stalemate, a ceasefire, so to speak. And this is 3 generations of Kims. That's Kim Il Sung, Kim Jong Il, and now Kim Jong Un, who I like to call Lil Kim. So we'll be monitoring that situation also, man, and I'll keep you guys up to date. And if anything changes, but in the meantime, keep a lookout. All right, moving right along, we have Tucker Carlson. He interviewed Vladimir Putin. That was a very contested interview, a lot of controversy behind it, but he conducted an interview with Vladimir Putin and went to Moscow to do it. And in that interview, Putin told Carlson that if the United States was to enter the war on the ground, it would be, and I quote, bring humanity to the brink. So Vladimir Putin, being an ex-KGB guy, being the leader of a country that has the capabilities of destroying Earth and humankind, I would probably take those threats seriously. Um, I'm not going to give any type of political opinion on what needs to happen to try to change the dynamics of that, but I will say that this is something that we all need to take heed to, pay attention to, and ask ourselves, what are we doing and why are we doing it? Especially in terms of people who have those type of capabilities. At this time, I want to take a moment of silence for Deputy Greg McCowan of Tennessee, Blount County Sheriff's Office. All right. Deputy Greg McCowan, 43, was shot and killed, while Deputy Shelby Eggers, 22, was shot. She's been since treated and released. They were called for a traffic stop. During the traffic stop, the driver, who's now been identified as 42-year-old Kenneth DeHart, refused to get out of the car. The officer deployed the taser. This had no effect. The driver then produced a gun, shot both deputies, and only one deputy was able to get a shot off. The suspect was able to drive away shortly after. The Blount County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee is now offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Kenneth DeHart. So if you have any information that can lead to the arrest of Kenneth DeHart, make sure you go ahead and turn them in and pick up that reward. All right, that's something that here at the GrayMan podcast we do not we look down upon that, firing at law enforcement, firing at anybody really, but definitely someone being killed in the line of duty. All right, another law enforcement news. The state of Iowa is proposing a bill that could impact law enforcement officers and law enforcement, period, in the state of Iowa. Iowa, there's an agency in the description below, there's a link, but there's an agency in Iowa that has had about approximately 20 OWIs, which in the state of Iowa stands for operating while intoxicated. Now, the bill basically states that if you are an officer and you have uh, if you get caught on your second OWI, you lose your commission. Now, um, me personally, I don't have a problem with this bill, especially given that my background in law enforcement. I don't have a problem with this bill because how can we, as law enforcement officers, hold someone accountable to law if we aren't following the law ourselves? See, it's not that you are in a higher position than anyone else in society. No one's above the law. Everyone is subjected to the law. But, being in your position of authority and responsibility, you are required to maintain yourself at a higher standard. And, and not doing so is just completely unset. And it's not gonna fly for any agency I've ever worked for or any agency that I've ever worked with. So, yeah, I'm definitely in support of the Iowa bill, and let's make sure that we hold guys accountable that are doing what they're supposed to be doing, especially when they are responsible for making sure others do what they're supposed to do. So, all right. Okay, now in closing, I'm gonna leave you with 10 things that you can do if you're ever lost in the woods. 10 things to do if you're ever lost in the woods. Number one is stay calm. Definitely want to make sure you stay calm. You don't want to exert any extra energy by panicking. Panicking doesn't do anything but make your situation worse anyway. So another thing that you can do is signal for help. If you can at all, you got like a mirror, you got any type of reflective, whatever. If you have a radio, a telephone, you can even use the glass on your cell phone as a reflective device. Make sure you try to signal for help. Anyone that has any type of advanced skill training, whatever, if you can make fire, you make for smoke, signal for help. Third thing you want to do, and this is probably should have been the first thing, is you definitely want to tell someone of your plans. Don't go walking out into the middle of nowhere. Don't go walking off in the woods. Don't go into the mountains without letting someone know what you're doing and where you're going. Have an idea where you're going, and if you can, try to map out where you're going and share that information with someone else, just in case you don't return when you're supposed to. We can be able to send help in the right direction. Fourth thing you need to do is carry the essential items, essential supplies that you need while you're out there on your voyage, on your journey. Uh, me personally, I don't never go anywhere without an IFAC. IFAC is an individual first aid kit. Always make sure I have some type of self defense. Also make sure that I have hydration, and that leads me into the next one. You want to stay hydrated. All right, staying hydrated doesn't mean the bottle of soda that you had. You want to make sure you have water, and that includes in warm conditions and freezing conditions. It doesn't matter. Water is the best thing for you. Water is the most necessary thing for you. So on top of that, if you're lost, you want to try to stay visible. You don't want to go hiding underneath any type of foliage or go or go concealing yourself for whatever reason. Make sure you are staying visible, because if people are out there trying to find you, they want to be able to locate you, and being visible makes it easy for us to be able to find you, or makes it easy for anyone to be able to find you. If you're wandering around, the next thing that you need to try to do is try to find waterways, creeks, streams. These usually lead to Rivers, these usually lead to civilization. Human beings, from the beginning of time, have founded their cities off the banks of rivers and different waterways. So usually, if you follow a stream, a creek, a river, it usually leads to some type of civilization. So definitely want to do that. All right, next up, you want to make sure you know landmarks. Use landmarks. So you want to know exactly where you are. So you want to say like snow-covered mountain, whatever. Lake in the valley. You know, pine trees over here, cluster of pine trees, whatever, man. Make sure you have landmarks. The rock looks like a bird. You know, any kind of landmarks, because if you're able to give a signal, or if you're able to contact someone and direct them to where you are, landmarks is the best way, the best points of reference for us to be able, or anyone to be able to locate you. So make sure you use landmarks. Next thing that you want to do is you definitely want to try to stay warm. It's important to maintain a core temperature as best you can, because if you don't maintain your core temperature, you'll be incapable of functioning. And it's very important to stay warm, man. All right. Last thing, and this is very important, don't forget it. You definitely want to keep a positive attitude. And if at all possible, if it helps, try to stay vocal. It's not a bad thing to try to talk to yourself when you're out there. If you have to start singing, just keep a positive attitude, because your attitude, if you have the wrong attitude, if you have a hopeless attitude, you'll sink down into that faster than anything. If you have all the equipment and tools, if you don't have the right attitude to stay alive, I'm going to make it attitude, you're not going to make it. So make sure you do all that. All right. Those are the 10 tips that I have for you in case you get lost in the woods. But like always, I want you guys to make sure you are maintaining hops. And that's, I want you to train hard, train often, train properly, and train safely. All right. This is the GrayMan Podcast, After Action Review, bringing that news, that weekly review news, right to you. All right. Peace.